Okay, good morning, everybody. Thank you all for joining me this morning to hear about the new Undercut and Rally template in EdgeRater. I sent a link during the week from our last week's Pacific Northwest trading workshop up in Canada, and it was a great weekend. We had a couple of guest speakers, but one of the most talked about presentation came from Gil Morales, and that's been recorded and it is online. If you haven't had a chance to see it yet, then it's definitely worth a viewing. I imagine most people have seen it because you're here and are interested in what he had to say. So I'm going to just go through a quick disclaimer. I won't read that, but basically, I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not going to recommend any stocks. Backtesting has limitations, and of course, as everyone knows, all trading involves risk. You need to do your own due diligence. A little bit of housekeeping, upcoming webinars next Saturday at 9 a.m. There's going to be a Getting Started with EdgeRater webinar for all of the new people that we have using the program. And also, if you haven't used the program for a while, it might be a good way to get back into it. If you want to sign up for that one, you can go to edgerater.com /support. And what you'll find there, I'll just show you how that all works. This is where you'll find out about any upcoming webinar. So if you go to edgerater.com, go to the support page, go to upcoming webinars, and you'll see we've got today's webinar, the Undercut and Rally template, and then next Saturday, Getting Started with EdgeRater. And more will be added in here as we go on. If you missed Gil's presentation, then there's a couple of ways to see that. You can either navigate yourself to from EdgeRater. You can go to the April 2019 trading workshop registration, which is now has the link in here. So the Gil Morales section is here. You can click on, just click on that and it will start playing. That's about a 2 hours and 9 minutes presentation, but that would be a good way to see it. Or you can just directly type in edgerater.com /products/PNW APR 2019 registration, and you'll be able to see it there too. So I see a few new people online, so just a little introduction about myself. And I've been developing software professionally for over 20 years. I worked at Microsoft. That's why I'm here in Seattle. I used to live in Canada, and then before that I lived in England. You may be able to tell through my accent, although I believe I'm really sounding very American these days. I released the program EdgeRater in 2009 after I left Microsoft, and then in 2010, I released a program called ETF Trading Bandit. So there are two products basically within the EdgeRater product suite. And EdgeRater Pro is really the flagship product. It does everything that ETF Trading Bandit does. But ETF Trading Bandit is very specifically tied to a set of strategies. If you're interested in those, it's a great product for that. But EdgeRater Professional is where I spend all my time and my development goes into developing that product. So what is a trading template? That's a good question. We're here to talk about the Undercut and Rally template. So, what is a template exactly? Well, it encapsulates ideas, methods, systems from people who know what they're talking about with trading. So as an example, there's a picture of Gil Morales and Chris Katcher over here. There's a few templates in EdgeRater that deal with their methods and techniques. And then we have, Ron Brown is actually online here with us, and there's Ron, Ian Woodward, the late Ian Woodward, and Jeffrey Scott over here from HGSI. Down in the lower right, you see George Lee, and George is the Canadian trader and workshop presenter that was on last weekend up in Canada. Okay, so I'm going to get right into a demo of this new template. So first thing, this was released last night. So this week has been quite a busy week for me because not only I came back from Canada late on Sunday, I then had to re-record all of the sessions because the webinar software that we use up there doesn't produce nice formatted files that everyone can view. So I spent the whole week re-rendering those files. They are now available. So if you had registered for the workshop and you want to see the recordings, they're all online now. You just go into the, you'll just have to log into your account in EdgeRater, click on the login, and they'll be under the training page. So it took me quite a while to re-render those. And also in the meantime, after listening to Gil's presentation, I got excited about this Undercut and Rally. Like, how can we implement something in EdgeRater that will help to find setups that he's talking about? Now, I'm assuming that most people have listened to Gil's presentation, so I'm not going to talk about what an undercut and rally is in detail. So I recommend that you go and listen to that, that presentation for sure. But so I spent the week while things were being rendered just noodling over how to best implement a template that would allow you to easily locate stocks that have undercut prior lows and might be set for a rally. Because obviously there are a lot of stocks. We have, well, in this list of all USA stocks on my system, I have almost 7,000. And that's a lot of stocks to go through if you're going to do a visual check. You'll note in Gil's presentation that he basically just goes through and visually checks his stocks every night and does a visual check for these particular setups. But my goal was to create something that allows you to scan over the entire database, and it can come up with things that have undercut prior lows and might be set for a rally or have started a rally. And we'll see exactly what that is in a sec. I don't know if you can hear that. I live right by South Lake Union, and there, this is where seaplanes take off and fly up to Vancouver Island. So what you're hearing right now is a plane taking off for Vancouver Island. Okay, so the templates, you'll find this template. This is the first thing to know is that if you look in the what's new, click on what's new in your EdgeRater, and you'll see what's new for April 2019. In the category of Morales and Catcher, the feature is Gil Morales template, undercut, and rally. So how do you find the template? You have to go to this category, which is over on the right-hand side. Scroll right down to, you'll find the book cover in the Trading Cockpit with the O'Neill Disciples, which is the book that Morales and Catcher wrote. And in here, you'll find the undercut and rally template. Now, you can run it from here, but what I like to do is I like to put a little star or highlight this star beside the template so that it becomes one of my favorites and is then easy to find in the future. So then all I have to do is go up to, instead of looking down through all these categories to find it, I just go into the favorites category, and everything I've put a star by is right here. So undercut and rally I have, and these are the other ones that I'm currently looking at fairly regularly. But so even though there are over 60 templates in the system, you're not expected to use every template every day. But different templates attract different styles of trading. So just choose what you like and put them in your favorites, and you can run them from there. So what I do is I've got the template here. I make sure my symbol list is the one I want to run the template against. You can change your symbol list by clicking the drop down over here. This is a all USA list. So this is everything trading on the NASDAQ, NYSE, and Amex. So this is all up to date. All I have to do is hit the run button on the top menu, and this is a process for running any template in the program. You'll always see the progress bar along the bottom left as it's churning through, processing all this data, and producing a report. This is basically the progress status for that. Now, when it's finished, it will pop up a report. And so we're going to go through the report now and look at what it's showing. And by the way, if you don't have this template, you don't see this in your list of templates, it means that you haven't downloaded the latest templates. Again, at the top of the program, you'll find the download templates section. If you see a red, instead, see this is green right now, it says 2019.4, that's the latest set of templates. If you have a red background there with a different number from 2019.4, it means you don't have the latest set of templates and you just have to click on Get Latest Templates. And that will just go out to the server and download everything and make sure you're all up to date. So easy enough to do. Okay, so let's bring back the report. I'm going to close or minimize the actual template running side of things. I'm just going to look at the report and kind of go through what this is showing. So it is organized, obviously, row per stock. And then we've got the first columns are basically telling you if there's been an undercut. So if a stock has undercut a prior low, and I'm checking for 3 prior lows. And this is the thing that I was really puzzling over, because it's easy when you're looking at a chart to see where prior lows are. Let's bring up a chart, just kind of explain what I mean. Okay, so for instance here. So yeah, when the human eye and brain can kind of organize things into patterns pretty easily. So you can say, oh yes, there's a low here. Obviously, there's some lows in here. There's a low here and there's a low here. But for a computer programmer to go and do it, it's not quite so straightforward. There has to be certain rules around what makes a low. So the way that this works is it uses the zigzag indicator. And the zigzag indicator will go through historically, and it will create turning points based on percentage moves from lows. So if a stock goes into a low, say here, where my cursor is, and then it moves up a certain percentage, then it's going to indicate that was a low. And now I've got 3 categories of low, because that percentage defines a granularity. Like how much of a percentage does it have to move beyond that low in order to create that value? So I've got 3 categories of low. One is a 1%. The second one is a category 2 is a 5%, and category 3 is a 10%. And then the chart that you'll have with this template, whenever you click on a stock and view the chart, you'll see the chart like this. And it will have a red and there are 3 colors, red, blue, and black, for these lines, these dotted lines. And they are the lows that have been the most recent low that was found using that technique. So red is your category 1, blue is category 2, and black is category 3. Often, some of the categories will match with each other, so you'll only see 2 lines. But this is how it's detecting the lows. So in this particular case, this was a stock that came up. You can see down here, this was Crystal Biotech. Okay, so it says here, if you look through this across the row, you can see that for the category 1 low, there was a close below that value. And that is what you see on the chart. Okay, the red line that you see up here, we got a close below that. So we have definitely a close below this category 1 low. But category 2 low, you can see there's no close below that. And the category 3 low, which is exactly the same value as the category 2 low, there's no close below that either. Okay, so that's kind of what it's finding for the lows. And then there's a section in here for dealing with the 50-period moving average to indicate trend. Is the stock trending up or down? how far away is the close price from the 50-period moving average, both in terms of actual points, actual dollar amount beyond the 50-period moving average, and then a percentage amount above or below the 50-period moving average. And the percentage amount has been highlighted here, color-coded. So if it's a long way above the 50 in terms of its percentage distance, then you get darker green colors. And then if you scroll right to the bottom of this list, if it's a long way below, you'll get darker red colors. So that kind of color coding is helpful for figuring out how far away from the 50 you are. And then you want an idea of whether the 50-period moving average is sloping up or down. And I had a question came in through email this morning, which was kind of interesting. And it was, let's see if I can find the actual stock that they were talking about. One second. One sec. Okay. So yeah, let's come here. HCC. All right, so the comment in the email was that the report shows that the 50-period moving average is sloping down. Now, 50-period moving average on here is the blue line. Okay, so the blue line is going kind of lower left to upper right. So why does the report show that it's sloping down? It's because from the prior bar to this bar, the value is lower. So that's what it's dealing with. It's not taking an average of the slope, because that would be an average of an average. It's taking the actual slope today versus yesterday. And that is your indication of slope. You might look at this and say, but it's going up. Well, it's not going up as far as the 50-period moving average is concerned. It's actually started turning down. But if you're looking at the 200-period moving average, it's still going up. But all of these other averages are turned down. Now, the other averages are as per Gil talked about in his presentation. So you've got the 50-period moving average as the blue line. You've got the 65-period exponential moving average is the black line. You've got the green line, which is your 20 EMA, and the magenta line, which is your 10 simple moving average, and the red line, which is your 200 simple moving average. So that's basically the chart that's linked to this report. Will always show these indicators unless you unlink it. But that's basically what we're trying to find with this template. And here's an example where the three categories of low are actually different values. And you can see you've got the red, which is your 1%, category 1, your 5% is down here, and your 10% is down here. Okay, so let's then take a look at what you can do with this report. So let's just go through, I'm going to go through my list here of, this is sorted by default in terms of stocks that have undercut, so that the price, current closing price, is lower than one of the categories of low. All right, so if that's a yes, then price is below there. Now, it's then also sorted by how far above the 50-period moving average the stock is closed. So if it's a long way above, then it comes to the top of this list. So what you're going to see here in this sort is basically stocks that are furthest above their 50-period moving average. Let's put that over here. Sorted in that way. Okay, and stocks that have undercut one of those prior lows. Now I've got this any in here because you can choose either to undercut a specific one of those lows, and then in which case, if you wanted to find those, you would actually scroll over to the particular category of low and do a sort on the undercut for that category. So you'd say close below for any one of those specific categories. But the column over here on the left is basically looking at all three of those categories and just saying, have any of them been undercut? And then there's a rally column as well, which is an indication that you have started a rally. So the close yesterday was below one of those lows. Close today is above one of those lows. So that is a rally started. Maybe that's too late. Gil was saying that he looks for making an entry on the mark of the low. But this does give you an indication that something is turning around. Now, you could run this during the day using the Think or Swim hookup, so you get real-time data. And in which case, if you're looking at intraday and you saw a rally any, that would definitely be your it has hit the mark during the day. It might be a better entry, but I think it's also interesting to go and look at these in the evening too. So let's just go down through this list. So we looked at this one already. And I'm just really pointing out here, I'm not saying that these are stocks that you should trade. All I'm saying is that this template is detecting stocks that have undercut prior lows. So obviously they can keep falling, but what you're trying to do is create for yourself a list that you can monitor during the trading day, and what you'll be watching for is price crossing back above those levels. So if you just copied your list here with copy and paste and put it into your Think or Swim platform, that would actually then just be your list to monitor for the day for this particular technique. So we're going to go down through this list. Now, these are all, because the list is sorted in terms of price being above, how far price is above the 50-period moving average. These are all stocks that are looking reasonably well in terms of the 50-period moving average, but are coming down to challenge stockholders to see whether they want to give up their stock. Yeah, so that's what the template's looking for. Now, I think it's interesting you can scan through this every day. I think it's a recommended thing to do. You can sort by, what I would think is interesting is to take the any column for the rally and just say, look for yeses on the rally. And then we can go through those and we can see what it's picking out here. All right, so this is a case where this stock was a very low price stock, so I don't know if this is something you'd be interested in. It's very low price, but regardless, the program is just picking out these particular behaviors. So price has come down through this the red line, so that is your category 1 low. It's come down through there and closed above there. So previous day it was below, now it's above. So it's definitely a undercut and rally right there. Okay, another example. So you can see that there's been undercut prior day to the blue, which is your category 2 low, and then rally up here. And we're just going to go through some of these. Here's another example. So this, I think this is a good example where you've got a clear low down here, and you had a close below there, but then subsequently a rally back above that low. So listen to Gil's presentation about why he likes this particular style of trading. And as he said in the video, it's actually very simple. There are no Bollinger Bands. There's no MACDs. You don't even have to pay attention to volume. It's just really about undercutting price and rallying back again. Now, in terms of actually coding this, there has to be some thing you pay attention to, and that's what I've done here. I've paid attention to trying to detect those lows with the category 1, category 2, and category 3. Okay, so just going down through this list, give you an idea of I think this may be one that I sent out in the email as an example. But we can just scroll down through and see see how that works. So anything, I think I covered most of what I wanted to cover here. I think it's a very straightforward template to use. I think it can highlight some interesting candidates. If you have any questions, then let me know, and I'll try and answer those questions. So if there's anything you want to see, or if you have any questions on this template, then let me know. Let me think, is there anything else, any other organizations or sortings you can do for this? One thing I think could be useful is, so clear the filter on the looking for the rally. You could, this is a good template if you were looking for free parking. That's a term from Ian and Ron, HDSI. Free parking if a stock is at its 50-period moving average. Now, there is a template in EdgeRater to detect for free parking criteria, but because you've got the close percent above MA50 here, you could actually just scroll this down until you get to the zero levels. And so now you've got stocks, if they're in an uptrend and they're also at free parking, so we'll do a filter and just select everything that's in an uptrend. And now we're going to say, you know, if there's a certain porosity, that's a Gil term right there, around the 50-period moving average, we'll go down to -1% and +1%. So these are all stocks that have a rising 50 and are currently at the 50. So you can see down here. So there's another way that you could use this, this particular template to find things of interest. All right, this one's 1.9% above, so it's quite high. Let's go down a bit further. We'll go down to the zero levels. We'll find something that is exactly at, or roughly at zero. So these are all free parking type stocks. And this has been run on the entire database of 7,000 odd stocks. So we're not missing anything here. These are all the stocks that are currently in an uptrend that have the free parking. Okay, I'm going to look for questions. I have there's a bunch of questions come in here, so let me just go through these. Okay, so the first question is about these lows, category 1, category 2, category 3. I think the best way for me to explain that is, let's bring up a chart that makes some kind of sense. All right, let's take a look at this chart here. There are clearly 3 lows on this chart that have been drawn. The red, the blue, and the black, category 1, category 2, category 3. So how did they get drawn? The best way for me to show that is to actually take off these indicators, and I'm just going to add the zigzag. Okay, zigzag. I'm going to add 3 zigzags, 2, 3. And then I'm going to change the values, the percentages that they're looking for, to 1, 5, and 10. Okay, so you can see the zigzag indicator is basically looking for, it's drawing peaks and valleys whenever there's been a move greater than a certain percentage above a low. So the zigzag indicator is no good for backtesting because it actually it changes up to a certain point. So if you're, for instance, if you're looking at the zigzag today, and you see that if it had made a valley here and you see it starting to move, you can't say that's definitely going to be a move that continues. The zigzag can actually change the history of the zigzag, but only up to a certain point to the prior peak or valley. But it is useful for detecting prior lows, which is what we're doing here. So you can see there are 3 different zigzags on here with different percentages. The very finest granularity is this one that's moving up and down with this move in here. Then you've got a medium-term granularity, which is coinciding with the longer-term one. Then you've got this longer-term granularity, which is, has lows down here. So basically, the template is picking out these points for these different granularities. Hope that explains it. Dave McMullen's on. Hey, Dave. Thanks. Good to see you here. Okay. Another question is, any backtesting for performance? No. This has purely been a experiment in trying to detect the criteria that Gil was talking about. I think you can get into all kinds of difficulty if you try and backtest this type of thing. There are going to be so many instances of these undercuts, and you'll have to have all kinds of trading rules. And I don't know that that's very helpful when it comes to trading. So no, it's just trying to pick out stocks that could be good trading candidates, and you can apply your rules and your risk tolerances and risk reward propositions with those stocks. What parameters do you use for defining an uptrend? Okay, so the uptrend is purely, I'll show you here. So this question is about the uptrend. What's an up and a down? It's really the 50-period moving average. Is it moving up or is it moving down? And the important thing, as I said before, is it might look like it's moving up. Like the blue line here is your 50-period moving average. Okay, it's definitely got an uptrend to it. But as soon as it takes that first dip down, so you get a value lower than the prior value, that is actually a down sloping 50-period moving average. But you might say, but it's been going up for a long time. How can one blip down just be a down sloping moving average? Well, that's what this particular moving average is detecting that. If you wanted that to still be going up, then choose a 60-period moving average, and that will probably still be going up. So that's how it detects it. Basically, the difference between today's value and yesterday's value of the 50-period moving average. That's your up and down trend. Okay, so another question is, someone wants to take a look at Shopify, and this was okay. I'm just showing. This is obviously, this template is finding things that are occurring today. It's not, if you look at the chart, it's not going to show you all the highs and lows from all of the prior days. That would be a lot of lines on the chart. So it's really showing you what is applicable as of the last bar of data that you have. And as of Friday, there is a clear low down here. The template has correctly picked out this spot down here. It's picked out another spot down here, and it's picked out a much lower base low down here. So these are the 3 lows in this case. And if Gil had been trading this previously, obviously we'd see a different chart back over here. And you may, when these bars start appearing, you may detect undercut and lows coming in here. I don't know. But yeah, we're just looking at the very last day here. Let's see, another question about where do you find the symbol lists you have created? Now, when you install the program, the software, EdgeRater, it comes with the 2 symbol lists that are kept up to date. And let me show you what they are. Okay. So if you look in your drop down of lists over here, there's all-usa.txt. That list is kept up to date with the EdgeRater premium data provider source, So whenever that data has changed symbols, the next time you get an update from EdgeRater, which is at least once a month, you'll have that new list of data. So that's all USA.txt. And the other one that I update also on the same schedule is the CBOE weeklies. And for this one, I basically go to the CBOE website and take all of the stocks that have weekly options. They have a list on there that you could create your own list if you wanted, but I basically go and do that and produce this list. So if you updated the program yesterday, if you run the program since yesterday evening, you'll have this updated list. And the CBOE weeklies are, as of Friday, all stocks that currently have weekly options listed. Tesla and Google should be in this list, absolutely. Well, I don't know if they're in the weeklies list. I imagine they both are, but let's take a look. Tesla would be TSLA. Yep. And Google is GOO. What is that? GOGL? Yep. Alphabet. Yeah, they're both in the weeklies list, and also they'd be in the All USA list. Yeah, Ron, that's a good idea. Is to try this rather than using a list of all USA stocks. Try it with a list of stocks that have high relative strength. And as Ron said, Shopify is an example of a stock with high relative strength. But yeah, you can definitely try it with cut down lists to try and filter out better candidates rather than just using the trend of the moving average. You can use all kinds of techniques. HGSI techniques would work too. You could find a stock in HGSI with the various screens and import that list into EdgeRater. Or you can use EdgeRater to find high relative strength stocks and use that as part of your criteria too. So Jerry, if you have an empty list, and this is something when you first install EdgeRater, these lists are just they just contain essentially the textual symbols. So for Tesla it's TSLA and then the name of the company. But if the list shows empty after you've selected it, it means you haven't downloaded the historical data for that list. You've got the symbols, but you haven't downloaded historical data. For that, you need to just press the end of day update button right there. And I'll be going through this basic stuff next weekend in the webinar on Saturday morning. How do you export lists? Very easy. Once you have, well, first of all of these lists appear in your EdgeRater folder, which is under Documents /EdgeRater/symbol lists, text files and XLSX files, which are Excel files. So that's one way you can just go into those folders and find actually open the open file up. But another way is once you've run a scan, for instance, this scan here, and say you have a bunch of stocks you're now interested in trading, you can just select these symbols down here and then just do a Control-C, which is your Windows command for copy. And that you can then paste into whatever program you like. Like Thinkorswim has a way of importing from the clipboard. Control-C is copy to the clipboard, and then you can paste from the clipboard. And let's bring up a good example. Well, simple application. Everyone knows Notepad. If I do a Control-V for paste now, I've got those symbols in that I had on the clipboard. So you can put that into any program. In HGSI, it has a way of importing from the clipboard too. So you could do that as well. If you are a pro, do you get EdgeRater data? Yes, good question, and you do. EdgeRater Pro Unleashed, if you have a current subscription, and there is, because so I produce a new template every month, and I also provide premium data, and those two things are bundled together. So if you are a subscriber to the premium data and new templates, so an EdgeRater Pro user gets to use all the templates that they currently have. And if you are also subscribing to new templates as they come out, you get the new templates and the data as well. If you don't have a subscription, you can still use the program, but you would use Yahoo data, or maybe you would use HDSI data, or any other data provider that you have. But the EdgeRater data provider is the thing that you would get with your subscription. And if you sign up for the program, by the way, I should say, if you buy the program, you will get a year. You get everything that's currently available, plus you get another year's worth of templates and data. And then the ongoing maintenance charge for data and templates is less than $300 right now per year. How do you get TOS data into EdgeRater? That's a good question from Greg. There is a program. So I think Greg's talking about how do you get the intraday data updated with EdgeRater. So the current way of doing that, and this is going to change soon to be more integrated into EdgeRater. But if you have Thinkorswim desktop program, you can run a program in EdgeRater called, or it's a separate program. And if you go to products and you go to the Yahoo to Thinkorswim tool, this is not obvious, but back in the day, we used to get intraday updated data from Yahoo. And then they kind of pulled the plug on that for everybody, and it caused a big scramble among software vendors to try and find another source of data. And actually, I found that you can connect to Thinkorswim and get data much faster than you could ever get it with Yahoo. So it's actually a much better solution if you have Thinkorswim. But this is the tool I wrote to allow you to do that using the existing technique from Yahoo. So meaning, if you're in the EdgeRater program and you hit this intraday update button right here, which is next to your end of day update button, the intraday update button. Let's see if this works. This is interesting. Okay, so the intraday update button is there, and the end of day update button is there. Sorry, I just had to experiment with this. Clear drawings. If you hit that, what will happen is it will make a request to Yahoo to get the data. But because Yahoo no longer serves that data, the Y2TOS program will intercept your call to Yahoo and go to Thinkorswim and grab it from your local desktop program. And it's very, very quick. You can update the entire list, 7,000 stocks, in just a couple of seconds because everything's local on your computer. So really good stuff right there. Okay. Carry on a little bit. Paul, how did you get to the enter stock location on the symbol lists? Ah, right. Over on your symbol lists, over here, you can see that I have this. Oh, I'm actually still in clear drawings. Let me do that. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, so I have, you can see I have enter stock to search for a symbol. Control F will get you there. If you do a Control F in Windows, that's normally the find function. So then you can start typing your symbol to search for. Control F, okay. Okay, and then Jerry, yeah, you will have noticed that there are some other lists in the program too. And I said I maintain and keep up to date all USA.txt and the CBOE weeklies. But there are some other lists that are in here that have not been kept up to date, but at one point I did research to create those lists. So for instance, you would find FinViz Gold Stocks list. I don't have that in my system, but you may have that in your system because previously that was something that, that I I was able to extract from FinViz and produced a list of all of the gold stocks that were on FinViz. The other thing is, if you're looking for symbol lists that are not the ones that I keep regularly updated, there is a shared folder in EdgeRater, and I'll be going through this next weekend. If you go to edgerater.com/shared folder, you'll find a bunch of symbol lists there that you can download. And that includes things like the Canadian symbols, like from the TSX and the Venture Exchange. And of course, that data is not part of the EdgeRater premium data, but you can still get that end-of-day data from Yahoo. So the Yahoo service that was discontinued was their intraday update service, but you can still get end-of-day data from Yahoo. Okay. Data feed, end of day, a real-time or 15-minute delay. Okay, so the actual premium data for EdgeRater is an end-of-day data. So it's been cleaned, it's been adjusted for splits and dividends. It is super clean. Obviously, it's premium data. As a company, we pay a lot of money to get that data, but we also have a license to provide it in the software to customers. So that's an end-of-day program, end-of-day data. But what you would then do is, when you've got that hookup to Thinkorswim, you're pulling in actual real-time data that is not delayed. So you'll use your history for your end-of-day, and then during the day you'll be updating the current bar with the Thinkorswim data. Let's have a look at more. Updated the templates, but can't find the Undercut and Rally template. Okay, Teresa, I think you arrived a little bit late here. I explained at the beginning where it was, but let me just go through how you generally find a template. Go to your What's New category, and this lists everything by date when it was released. And then what you do is you can click through to find out what was released on any particular day or month. And it will always tell you in here the category that you can find the template under. So today's one, or April's template, was released under Morales and Catcher category. So then you have to go down to your category on the right-hand side here and come all the way down until you find Morales and Catcher. Now, this is not an obvious one because the actual picture for Morales and Catcher is a picture of their book. But once you click on there, you will find that listed there. Now, if I had been very good and even more productive last week, I would have actually updated the trading templates page on the website to list it here. So I normally would add everything into here. So you've got a list of all the templates in the system, the template name, and then the category over here. But unfortunately, I have not gotten around to doing that yet, but that will appear there soon. Also, this is a good place to go and just look at some of the templates that are in the system. So you can come into here and say, what is the crash template all about? That sounds interesting. So click on more info, and you'll come up with a little report which shows you the types of information you see, and then a little description about the template itself. Sometimes I'll even go and do a blog post about how to use a particular template, or do a webinar like this one here, and you'll find links to those also on that page. So it's something you can do. It will also show you an example of the types of charts you get with the indicators on the chart. Yeah, thanks, Kevin. I agree. I totally agree. Where is the hook button to use with Y to toss? So when you run Y to toss, it will come up with, let's see if I actually have it. I just got a new computer and haven't installed everything on here yet. Yeah, I haven't got it installed. But when you run Y to toss, there is on the menu at the very top of the screen, like in EdgeRater, you see this menu here. You'll see a hook button, And all that does is, as I said before, that program hooks into your outgoing calls to Yahoo real-time data and just reroutes them into Thinkorswim. So it kind of hooks the data. Now, coming up, the Y2TOS program will be deprecated, and you'll be able to do everything from within EdgeRater itself. So that you'll just press the intraday update button. Providing you have Thinkorswim, this is really going to be the only supported intraday update platform, just because I haven't found anything else that's very reliable, and that's super quick. So, but you won't have to have Y2TOS in well, you will for now, but in a few months, that will all be integrated in the program too. Okay, well, I think we've kind of gone through all the questions. The recordings of the workshop. Yeah, okay, Brad and Brock. Okay, great. Thanks. So Brad, yeah, as I said, the workshop recordings are now available. And so if you are interested in, it was a really interesting workshop. George continues to amaze with his trading performance. And if you go to the April workshop registration on the EdgeRater homepage, you'll see that, as I said before, the link to the Gil Morales session, a definite must view. And if you want to see the rest of the workshop recordings, you can purchase them here. Only $250. I know everyone says that's crazy. Why do you only charge $250? And this is to do with George, who just wants to get the word out. He is not making money through doing these workshops, but he's one of the rare people in the industry who just wants to teach people. Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone for coming. I hope you can join next weekend. Please go and register for come into EdgeRater, come to the support page, and then click on upcoming webinars. Just as a reminder, next weekend, next Saturday at 9 a.m., I'm going to do a Getting Started with EdgeRater webinar. So for those of you who are new to the program, or if you want to get back into the program, but feel a little bit intimidated because you're not really sure where to start, this will be a good place to start. We're going to go through the basics. Obviously, if you've used the program regularly, you're not going to find anything new here. But for most of the new people, this would be a great place to come. So far, I think I like the Zoom meeting webinar thing. And Ron, yeah, I've started using Zoom. Are you using Zoom, Ron? I think it's good. So I think it's been pretty successful today. Yeah, Zoom is great. I think it's great. Great. Oh, John, good to see you here. Yeah, hi, and you're welcome. Okay, Brock, hi too. You're welcome. Thanks, everybody. Okay, great. All right, have a great rest of your weekend, and hopefully see you next weekend. Bye for now.